What's up, everybody? Oh, those are the people that always be kicking me out. Suckers. Let's see how they hold up. Kick me out when I had the green card. And the thing is, I don't even be doing no burnouts or nothing. I just be filming my videos, my YouTube videos. Let's see what they say. But we're not gonna let them delay me now. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Before I start this video, I want to branch off and talk about something for a quick second. I've been thinking maybe I should get a house with a garage. That way it won't be so hard for me to get both my cars over here. I live completely on my own. There is nothing that goes on my life that I don't do myself. And you can see how challenging, how hard that is. Literally, things will get cleaned, maintained. I gotta maintain these two cars as well as my regular life. Go to work, make the videos, answer the comments, provide some content for Instagram or _slowspeed. But yeah. So I want to give you guys a huge thank you, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be a tad bit easier for me. I could record at 2 o'clock in the morning and things like that. Take this YouTube thing to the next level as far as content and everything goes. Like I said, however, that's assuming a lot more responsibility, and I'm not exactly sure if I want to do it. I want to say thank you guys for that. But back to the cars. So obviously this car is 13 years older than my 2020 BMW M340. The cost to buy and register and own the E90 is cheaper than the taxes on the BMW M340i. The taxes on this were about 6% or 50 grand or something like that, whereas my E90 cost me $2,000 and then $386 for taxes and registration, stuff like that. So a lot of you guys actually hit me up with ideas of what you should get for your first car. I would consider looking at something maybe you could buy cash a little bit cheaper while you stack your money up, and then just go out and get exactly what you want to get in the future without setting yourself up for any kind of failure. BMWs in the past have built their E-chassis cars more for the driver. It was more focused around the driver. Over time, beginning with the F30 chassis and even the F10, BMW has geared these cars a lot more for mainstream. The E90 feels like a rolling tank, like zero power steering, you know, open and close doors like this huge stud. It just feels like a freaking tank rolling down the things. A lot of the E-chassis cars, the fan will be louder than the motor. It's kind of underpowered. Before BMW swapped over to turbocharged cars and stuff like that, whereas the G20 is more for the masses. It's still nice, it still handles decent, however, it just doesn't have that BMW feel that a lot of people probably didn't like back in the day. On both of these BMWs, I can see certain cues that's in the G20 to carry over from the E90. First, I'll start with the headlights. You can kind of tell BMW got that little wingtip right here, wingtip right there as usual. I will say these headlights right here look a lot more aggressive than those do, but these look aggressive for the time. Same thing for the car. Newer cars just typically have more cuts and flares where, well, this is an M3 bumper, but the other one was not exactly that much different. More bland and kind of just round and pudgy. There's nothing wrong with it. I feel like that really does make for a timeless design, whereas this, I don't know how well the exterior would age like this one does right here. This is probably one of the last BMWs with the normal size grille. Now, compared to the E90, you can tell it has grown. You could probably fit 2 grills in one of these things. However, it's not really huge like you find on the X7, the X5, the M3, just any other BMW. Now, those grills have grown on me a tad bit for the G80. The X7, I'm not sure if it'll ever grow on me. One of the perfect cars I think that BMW makes right now is the Alpina B3, the one in this body style. Has an S58 and the G80 M3 M4, but the same body style as the G20. If that car were to come to America, I think that would be one of the top cars out right now. Now, this is my E90 328. It does not have the most powerful engine in there for a 9M BMW. You can get this car, it comes in an M54 to be equivalent to the B58 that comes in this car. And I will say that the M54, I feel, was very over-engineered and a little bit ahead of its time. Now, the aftermarket has made it a lot better, has brought it up to date, made them a little bit more reliable, because I'm not sure if BMW really knew what they were getting themselves into with this car, with the M54 powered version of the E90. And they do need a lot of maintenance and reliability, things taken care of. Many may argue the B58 is a great motor, and BMW decided to go cheap. They decided to share the diesel platform blocks with the gasoline platform blocks, and what this motor, the B58, has inherited is the closed deck block, a couple other goodies, to where this motor could take a hell of a beating. Diesel motors are designed to operate under huge extreme cylinder pressures, and whoo, my hands are freaking frozen. You're able to turn up the boost on this car and a lot of things go well. Sorry about that, I had to get the camera positioned properly. I'm sure you guys can tell by the interior and the door clunk. the door clunk. That thing is solid. These cars felt solid as they first came out. Told you guys about the steering. Now, I think this is some form of variable steering because it doesn't feel as tough when you're driving around. Pardon me, the alignment is really terrible in this car. I wasn't able to get that fixed, but we got a couple malfunctions on there. As far as the tire pressure, got a little low. Feels like a tank when you're rolling. It just feels as though you're indestructible. You're in a little cocoon. Now, it does have an indestructible motor, the M52, which inherently is very reliable and very slow at the same time. See, for daily purposes, pretty sure you guys can tell how terrible the roads are. I ran with 17-inch tires. 17-inch wheels with the stock tire setup. Just so I can preserve my wheels and have a nice smooth ride. I drive this thing every day. First thing initially that I've noticed, especially jumping out of my G20 and into 328, is how small this thing is. It feels really, really small, a lot smaller than my M340. And I did argue that I need to get out of the M340 one day and get into something a little bit bigger. I'm just a bigger guy and I come from 5 Series, so I really do miss the size. However, it's just so hard to drive a car like a 3 Series and feel how those cars feel and then get into something big again. It's like kind of like a boat. I have driven the E90 M3. So we'll do this the right way now.
Yep. No, that's
in 4-wheel drive mode. Should just be gas, yep. Match the gas, and then just take off, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. Hold on.
Grips! Holy! Oh!
All right. Woo!
Get out of the way, bro.
Yeah, that bird ain't gonna make it. So, what's the other craziest things you got in the drive before?
A couple Ferraris.
Yeah.
My favorite is the CTSV.
And sadly, it's like a bigger version of the M340. It just feels a little bit more dull than the M340. It's fast as hell, but yeah. But yeah, nonetheless, you know. Woo, woo! I gotta fix that shifter bushing. I don't know if I put it in 3rd or 5th. I'm learning, guys. Okay, I'm learning. But yeah, it's just the shifter bushing. You can tell how sloppy it is. I still haven't fixed that. The guy waiting on the mechanic to fit me in the slot with that, but have all upgraded parts. Shifting slow is fine, but yeah, you see how that was fun. Like, I had a rush of adrenaline. Adrenaline is adrenaline. I have so much fun, go through corners, nail it, only be doing like 75 miles an hour and have so much fun. You know, you have time to process things. I'm on the floor in this car again. Like, there's nothing. Just have time to process the fun you're having in this car. That's one good thing about how slow it is. It's just very fun. It's very fun. BMW released the F30. You really did notice it took a dive in interior quality, build, and like some like the materials they use. This feels a little bit more like 5 Series type leather, like the E60 times. I don't feel like a lot of the pieces in the F30 are quality like they are in the E90, and that's one of the reasons why I would say this ages very, very well. This car is 13 years old with 198,000 miles, and it has less creaks than my 435 had. We're off. Woo! Hope there ain't no speed cameras over here. That would have been dumb. Bass sound system in this car is way better than the bass sound system in the M340, and even the bass in the F30. I'm not exactly sure why BMW made the sound system less effective, I guess, or less nice. Whew, feels weird, yo. Bad alignment and you slip it on ice is kind of sketchy. There she goes, guys, looking nice. You just have to appreciate how beautiful this car looks. E90 chassis generation between the 335 and the M3 kind of reminds me of what Porsche did with their cars, the Turbo S and the GT3. Cars were built for 2 different purposes And I know a lot of you 335 guys out there with the M54 can argue that your car is faster than the E90, E92 M3. I can guarantee you a Turbo S will wipe the floor with the GT3. That's just not what the cars were about. And that car is just more of a powerhouse, low-end torque from the turbos. However, the M3, just like the GT3, is more track built. It's more purpose built. Two totally different types of cars. The upgraded version of this car, the G80, just feels like a faster G20. Slap a big turbo on the B58 and have that top end and steering. Both cars feel nimble. This car feels very, very light on its feet. The steering is a little bit more communicative and the transmission shifts a tad bit harder in the G80 version of this car. But at the end of the day, for the price that you pay, this car being half the price of G80, it'll make perfect sense to have a 335 IS and E90 M3 in the same garage and have two totally different driving experiences, if I'm making any sense. M340 looks better doing what it does on the outside, but the inside feels a little bland when you're doing it. And this car looks slow and docile on the outside as it's driving by people, but on the inside, it feels like you're having a blast. Look, you just greeted with so much more space. Look at that. Sheesh, look at this. Just greeted with so much more space. It feels like you're in a, woo, God. It feels like you're in a freaking spaceship when you get in this thing. You can configure, so individual, you can tell we have dampening, steering, engine, transmission, a lot more options in that car. That car is just pretty much set and forget. Obviously the trans is as aggressive as you want to shift it. The motor is as aggressive as you can hit the gas pedal, and the suspension is fixed. So yeah, before I take off in this car, if you guys have C43 S4, I'm actually pretty interested in doing a review on Golf R, to be 100% honest with you. I just want to confirm that the M340 is the best car you can get as a daily driver, bang for a buck. And there are a lot of other cars out there that people say are good too, and I want to experience those cars because, well, never trust a guy who says and something is the best and has never tried any of the rest. So it's growing in weight, size. The wheelbase really does do a lot. It just feels very, very stable. It does inspire confidence. It's hard for me to explain. Oh, that's a nice 135. It's hard for me to explain it. The best way I can say it is this car feels more like a synthesized version of fun, whereas that one felt a little bit more natural. This car can do the same things as the E90 as my E90 328. It feels just as rewarding. However, you got to push it a lot harder. Like 140 miles an hour is where this car really wakes up and you start to feel some type of, I guess, you start to feel some type of engagement in this thing. It's kind of synthesized. I'll punch it and, oh, well, so you can tell the difference. I'll punch it. It's a little bit of a delay. There's no real engagement. I'll go for the paddles, similar to the, that's what I'm trying to say is the G20 feels a lot more comfortable. It masks speed very, very, very well. Even when you're in the highway with your boys, a lot of the cars are comparable, but when you get up to the 120, 130 mile an hour range, you just start to walk past everyone. You walk past everybody. Even though this car has a tremendous amount of power, I'm pretty sure the 335 version will be a little bit more sketchy. Obviously you have the boost sounds and everything is this, and maybe a little bit more faster, but however, I don't own that car. I own this car and I own that car, so that's my comparisons. We dibbled and dabbled in the motor a little bit. I like the blips and everything that this car has. Let me get out the fire department's way. Something's rattling in the front. I think I have like some kind of, I think the dealership left something loose in the front. Something's rattling. But I don't drive this car a lot, so I'll be the first person to tell you there's not going to be a huge following. This car's not going to age as well. You know, it's not going to be as a huge aftermarket even years and years down the line as there is with the E90 BMW. The G20, I don't think will age as well. You know, I think this car is just going to be forgotten once the next faster powered 3 Series comes out, this car will be forgotten, you know? Now, before we go bashing the M340, I just want to explain that a lot of car companies and manufacturers are making their cars more mainstream. And for performance-oriented brands, that can mean making it softer. I've even heard complaints from the 7-speed PDK to the 8-speed PDK in the Porsche. Many people say the 992 has gotten a bit softer, and I could understand that. A lot of people are wanting comfort. BMW is one of the brands who has retained majority of the good characteristics, and they blended in a lot of comfort with it as well. Can't get this one in a manual, but if you step up to the G80, you can still get a brand new BMW with a manual. Same thing for Honda too, brand new with a manual transmission. I think that says a lot, and I don't think manual transmissions are coming back, but I think that it's their way of kind of staying true to it. And I'm curious to see how the 6-speed is with the G80s. I'm pretty sure the RPMs will be like sky high. Even like highway cruising with that could, I don't know, I just feel like it'll be a little bit weird. Now, the exterior on the E-chassis cars are not blown out of proportion. The E90 M3, a lot of non-enthusiasts really won't be able to tell. Sure, it has a hump, wider arches, and it does have the taillights from the coupe, the headlights from the coupe. You'll see the M3 on the back or the 4 tailpipes, so you can tell it's some kind of fast car. Thinking a 3000 GT had quad tailpipes too, and I always thought that was a fast car growing up, and that VR4 was trash. Over to the G20, if you look at the G20 and the G80, it's night and day difference. You could tell that car a mile away. It does have wider fender arches, but the front end is totally changed. BMW never used to be that drastic. The F80 and the F30 is a tad bit different as well, a lot more noticeable than the E-chassis generations. Like, guarantee you, even some enthusiasts don't even know the difference between the E90, E39 M3 and the E39 540. They kind of look the same. Sound the same a little bit too. My point is that back in the day, BMW really engineered its E-chassis BMWs performance first and kind of thought about looks and interior design second. Whereas on the G20 cars, they really wanted you to feel as though you were getting a lot more different of a car than what you pay for. However, driving wise, I don't think you really do, as far as costing almost double the cost, or $20,000-$30,000, however much more the G80 costs over the G20. You will not be disappointed. Your money will be, you'll be happy, money well spent on either way.